Welcome once again to the WrestleCord News Break. Today is May 10th, 2026. I'm your host, Ryan, and we're going to go over some of the latest news in the world of pro wrestling and MMA. Last night was WWE Backlash's premium live event special extravaganza. The show somehow came in at under 3 hours, which made it feel more like a 90s in your house, if you ask me. The show started off hot and heavy, with Seth no longer freaking Rollins taking on Braun Breaker, with the Vision making their presence known at ringside. It was an onslaught of interference that Seth Rollins valiantly worked to combat, but in the end, the mid-tier talent, the social media buffoon, were able to help the Jack Nepo baby get the win. For the United States, gold was on the line when champion Trick Williams battled Sami Zayn. Sami tried every trick in the book, no pun intended, but in the end, it was some assistance from a candy cane wielding Little Yachty who paved the way for the Trick Williams victory. Io Sky would outsmart Asuka and her Mist on the way to picking up a victory with her over-the-moon salt. Danhausen would clone himself into a mini version who would help the cursed Miz along with Kit Wilson get a little taste of teeth. I mean defeat. Also in news that will forever change the landscape of pro wrestling as we know it, we learned the guy nobody can see, even though he never seems to want to get off TV, John Cena himself, announced the John Cena tournament where the winner would be the John Cena champion and get the John Cena Cup, presumably get a Cena cap and wristbands to boot. This was presented as an earth-shaking, world-changing event, yet neither did the earth shake, nor did the world seem to change. Finally in the show, in the main event, the familial feud between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu would take center stage, with the World Heavyweight title on the line. Fatu employed the fatal Tongan Death Grip, which proved to be less lethal than normal, I guess, as Roman Reigns was able to outlast and hit a spear to get the title. Going head-to-head with the main event of Backlash was AEW's 1-hour collision special, Fairway to Hell. The main event would see a first-time aesthetic for the promotion with a Tiger Woods special. No, not a prostitute and some coke, or a flipped-over car, just a nice golf course. Why exactly a golf course? I couldn't have the slightest clue. To jumpstart the 1-hour block, we had the national title on the line when Jurassic Express's Jungle Boy wonder Jack Perry took on the dunkiest of all the Zillas in Mark Davis. The match was hard fought, and when it seemed like Jack had it in the pouch, a golden club wielding Kevin Hall showed up at ringside. Scratch that, folks, it was only Ricochet. The visor threw me off. He proceeded to hit a hole-in-one off of Jungle Jack's head. 4. This allowed Mark Davis to hit his devastating pendulum piledriver and become the new national champion. Also on the card, the Divine Dominion took on Ruthie Slay and Rachel Lay. It was to no one's surprise that Slay and Lay were able to topple the Dominion for an easy win. No, wait, reverse that, folks. It was another Divine defeat to stack up more wins for the tag team champions. The action sped up when Mike Bailey took on Kieran Gray. It was a set of knees that put down Gray for the count. To round out the night, Darby doesn't care if he dies or not. Allen pulled out another wild win, this time over Death Rider Pac, in defense of his AEW World Championship. The battle went the full 9 holes, and it was Darby coming in under par. Swinging for the fences. Nope. It was dropping the coffin after throwing a title belt into Pac's face to get the 1, 2, 3. And one final piece of news that came out of Fairway to Hell, Konosuke Takeshita will be the one leading the charge against Darby Allin in the Don Callis family's bid to gain the AEW World Championship. Kazuchika Okada was originally scheduled to take on Darby Allin for the strap at the May 13th episode of Dynamite, but it would seem Okada has some personal business to attend to, and is flown back to his home country of Japan. This can only further the tension between Okada and Takeshita ahead of their international title bout at Double or Nothing on May 24th. Finally, in closing on what is a very slow news day, we'll run down the results from last night's UFC 328 event. In a catchweight bout, we had King Green defeat Jeremy Stephens by submission. In welterweight action, we had Sean Bradley defeat Joaquin Buckley. We also saw Alexander Volkov get a win over Waldo Cortez Acosta. Then for the flyweight title, we had Joshua Van retain against Tezora Takara. And then in our main event for the middleweight strap, we had Sean Strickland defeat Kazimov Chimaev to win the title by decision. It was a fun main event, and I'm sure it will be forgotten by next week, as I hope this episode of the News Break does as well. With that, folks, we're at the end of the WrestleCord News Break. I'm Ryan, signing off, hoping to see you all again tomorrow.